Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Marie Briel.
And I'm Heidi Henry coming to you from two socially distant studios at the edge of the Great Red Divide. You can find all of our previous works at heartlandmamas.com on uh, all podcast platforms, sorry, anywhere you get your podcasts, on YouTube, and probably carried on the Demcast USA network. Welcome to all of our national and international fans as we talk to you every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time about democracy, progressivism, and the Democratic Party here in the United States. So, Murray, today we're going to talk about the last linchpin in this horrible last 4 years.
Right. It,
I I'm
yeah,
dying.
and it's a really important linchpin, guys.
Yeah.
We've had the election has been concluded for what 40 days now, Heidi?
Yep.
Something along those lines, 45
Yep.
days. We have not had a president admit that he lost yet. We have challenged it at every level of the Supreme Court, at every level, 50 legal cases, including two cases that have gone to the Supreme Court, and it doesn't appear to be going anywhere. The electors filed before the period, so they can't be challenged based on that, and it was certified. So 50 states reported their results as according to their laws and their electors.
Yep.
And that's how Joe Biden came up with 306 electoral votes,
Right.
which is the presidency. We thought, oh, deep breath. Okay, they all, it's into the archives. Ta-da. Even though the Republicans in 3 states created a false electors and tried to send their results into the National Archives as if they wouldn't know. Okay, it's really stupid just to even go there. But we thought we were done. We thought we were clear, and we knew we weren't. So we really need folks to understand why we're not clear yet. And the reason we're not clear yet is because it comes down to all the Electoral College results must be certified by the Senate. And that happens on January 6th. Now, there's a process involved, and things could get dicey.
Yes, it does. And before January 6th, we have a really important election as well, Marie. So we need to talk about the election of the Georgia senators, why this is important, and why this could be part of the linchpin. So everybody knows that we didn't have a clear mandate in the Senate. We really thought, Marie and I, especially me, was certainly certain that we would have this big blue tsunami, and we didn't. We have a very uncertain Senate. And the uncertainty of the Senate and the reelection of Mitch McConnell has given him a mandate where he can kind of set the tone for all of this. Now, the other day, Mitch McConnell, who is the Senate president, the head of the Senate in the United States, he said, "Congratulations, President-elect Joe Biden." Now, does that mean anything? Damn it, no. Because any senator can stand up, and there's 2 senators for every state. One of them can throw a monkey wrench in and say, "I object to the certification of the Electoral College," which we certified earlier this week. That's why, and because there was no mandate in the election of the senators in Georgia, not one person got more than 50% of the vote. That's why there's 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats that are running against each other. You have Warnock and Ossoff on the Democratic side, and Loeffler and Perdue on the Republican side. And they're facing off for these last 2 Senate seats. And these 2 Senate seats will give control of the Senate to either back to Mitch McConnell or on to a new Senate president, whoever that is. Now,
And there are so many reasons why, I'm sure most of you have heard why the Georgia election is just important.
right,
One is because it will remove Mitch McConnell from power. 2 is because it will allow something to be accomplished through the Biden administration. We know what Mitch McConnell did through 2 years of the Obama administration. We know what Mitch McConnell has done. Republicans are phenomenal at doing nothing but blocking things, and he's the master. So important is the fact that we need to retain it for that reason.
Right.
If you want to know why you don't have a stimulus, it's because of Mitch McConnell. If you're curious as to why we don't have answers about where the money to the PPP loans went, it's because we have Mitch McConnell. So the importance of it cannot be understated, but it's going to tie in even a little more here. So if Ossoff and Warnock both win, the Senate is then tied at 50-50. We'll be on equal footing. We will have the House and be on equal footing in the Senate, which means should anything come, well, one, it gives them more incentive to cooperate across party lines to get legislation passed. Because they know that the deciding vote comes from the vice president, who is the president of the Senate. And that would fall down to Kamala Harris, and we would be able to make a lot more things happen. So that is the urgency of the Georgia election from my perspective.
We talked a little bit about, you mentioned the stimulus. The COVID relief bills have not been passed since the first one early on in the pandemic, because Mitch McConnell made sure that money went all to the top. 25% of the PPP loans and about 67% of the economic relief went to the top 1% income earners in corporate America. And the crumbs were dropped down to the little people. That would be us. That would be 98.5% of us. And the reason it's been held up is because McConnell is on this line right now. Does he become a deficit hawk and say, because he has control of the Senate, and say no more money for the people? Or does he become a deficit hawk and say, you guys are giving too much money to the people? I know where I want my tax dollars to go to, and I would like it to go to the mom and pop businesses and to the single parents and to people who need health care. I don't think American Airlines needs another dime of my money, or British Petroleum, or the cruise industry, or the top income earning. Jeff Bezos does not need any more of my money. So we have to really consider how important this election is. Now, one of these senators that's up for re-election, that would be Kelly Loeffler, has come down on the fact that she will not certify the results of the Electoral College. So we have some others. I know Rand Paul, who's wearing his ugly rug-colored head again, raising it up.
Well, Ron Johnson was the first to come out.
Well,
so,
of course he was.
I want to clarify just one point about January 6th. So it has to be a member of the House as well as a member of the Senate. Both have to object, and they have to object in writing to the both chambers. So I just want to make sure that we know that we needed both. And for other times in history, it has the same sort of thing has happened. But this time we didn't really anticipate. I wasn't sure that there would be senators that would go along. And I guess I should have guessed that the GOP knows no depths of the depravity that they have, because they went along. And then 2 days ago, Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, who's a hot mess, says that he doesn't believe the results of the election. Then Kelly Loeffler comes out, who's running in Georgia, and says she won't vote to certify.
Right.
And then we have Rand Paul, which, here's the thing that's interesting about Rand Paul. And he hasn't said that he won't certify the election, but Ron Johnson had a Senate hearing on the election validity, where he called Krebs, the cybersecurity chief who Trump fired, where they called him in and grilled him about how safe the election was.
Yeah.
And the thing that's just like mind blowing is Ron Paul just kind of like nails this poor guy, and he says, no. Did you look? Okay, so perhaps it was the safest election in history from a foreign interference perspective, but it was not the strongest. But you didn't investigate dead people voting, and you didn't investigate um, uh, illegal aliens voting, and you didn't investigate
Space aliens.
um, vote by mail validity. And that is enough to say Rand Paul is on board. And then today, another comment from him. So we now have senators, and the 4 senators that are left who have said on the record that they would not support not support rejecting the Electoral College results are Mitt Romney, Pat Toomey, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins. So we have, wow, those aren't the greatest of odds. If our fate as a nation is hanging on Susan Collins to stick with what she said, I think we're in big trouble, guys. We are seriously screwed here.
Yeah. Her legacy is, I think he learned his lesson. The famous last
right,
words.
right.
Should have been the last words of Susan Collins. And,
oh, and this is the final word. I'm so sorry. I have to.
It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, no. Go ahead, please.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. We know here in Illinois, we have 2 representatives, Bost and LaHood, that signed on to that sedition treaty, or I'm sorry, that signed on to that lawsuit that went before the Supreme Court.
Texas lawsuit?
Yeah, the Texas lawsuit that the Supreme Court said, nope. And so we know that these 2 clowns, because, if Mike Bost and LaHood are they're just reprehensible. The fact that Adam Kinzinger, my congressman, didn't sign on to it is only because he wants to be our next governor, and we're going to have a whole show on the reprehensible Adam Kinzinger. But we know that the sedition is rampant in the Republican Party. They didn't get their own way. And I'm telling you, when Donald Trump was elected, I was all over Dick Durbin, my state senator, for not.
Oh, I know. I was too.
I took him I told him, I said, I'll never vote for you again, you fool. And yet I voted for him again because I think he's magnificent, but, really good leader. But, here he had a chance, how I looked at it, to stop Donald Trump in his tracks, to not certify the election results of the Electoral College, and he didn't do it. Because Democrats never play like that. They always play it straight, So now
right. Yeah, because that's where we are.
Yep. So every time we go through this,
American experiment sets a precedent, and by
so what happened?
And by the Democrats not. I think we're having a delay, Heidi. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I think you're on some kind of delay, and I can't quite figure it out, so I keep trying to fill in the space while your internet catches up. But what happens is all of this gets together, and then in our case,
I'm having some issues.
Oh no, Marie, do you need to drop out and pop back in? No, if you pop out, we lose.
Let me try. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I can hear you now. We sound good. Let's give it a try again.
Okay. So
where were you, Heidi?
What happens with this? And like I said, I got all over my senator's case about this. Why did you let Trump through? And I really think he should have stopped him. And that's exactly how the Republicans are feeling about Joe Biden, who's not an egregious person, where Trump was egregious and an assault to the senses of democracy. We don't have that with Joe Biden. He's just a really straight arrow kind of guy. He's a tried and true kind of guy. We know who he is. We already know who he is. So it's not a surprise where we all knew, people like me, like you, Murray, looked at Trump and said, he's failed at everything. Why are we going to let him fail our country? And he has, So I keep thinking when we get this all together and we put in the, if we get Rand Paul and Ron Johnson to sign on to this as senators, and then you'll get LaHood to sign on as a representative, then it's going to go back to the two houses, and for 2 hours they're going to discuss it. And we know the House of Representatives is going to come back and say, no, we're certifying. And the Senate is going to go, no, we're not certifying. And, now you have the House certifying, the Senate not certifying. Guess who it goes to, Marie? It goes right to Mike Pence. Mike, do
Yes,
nothing.
it does.
Mike, do nothing Pence. And of all people on
And,
this planet.
we know Mike Pence will cave on
Oh,
any
God.
issue. We know Mike Pence has no morals, no nothing to stick to. We saw him waffle, but you have to consider he's also considering his political future. He's talked about having a run at the White House in 2024 and realizing that I don't know if it I know there's definitely a Trump cult, and I know there are followers that are pushing that are very big supporters, but I believe that a lot of our representatives and our senators have bought into this crazy narrative themselves. They're not just following, or they're not just afraid, or they're not just trying to hang on to their seats. They're really believing this anti-American rhetoric that is out there, and that is terrifying.
Yeah. The rise of fascism in our country. And I would say it started when we elected a half-white president with Barack Obama. Fascism started to rise, and it bubbled beneath the surface. But then when you have Donald Trump in office, the floodgates opened, and all the fascists came out to play. They're all out there. And then they divided into groups, and violent groups and nonviolent groups. Well, they're all kind of, horrible, but they're all anti-American. And
Well, I mean, you think about it, if you go to the Republican Party, to kind of look at the Tea Party movement was a big push to try to take over the Republican Party, and it seemed to fizzle out. But I think it really just morphed into the populist party of Donald Trump. I mean, they want to start their own Patriot Party, which is really weird. But I know we could get way off track on this. I wanted to make sure that our listeners know that it has happened before, like we were talking about during Nixon's day, right? In 1961, Nixon had to oversee the objections that came from his party on the Electoral College, and he did, and he appropriately voted the way he should. And then we had it happen again in 2000 with Al Gore. And, Al Gore had to, against his objections, there were senators who objected. Not our guy, but Al Gore had to decide that the results of Florida's hanging chads, all right, he'll go with the will of the people. And that's what constitutional scholars are missing here, is that you're focusing on what everyone has missed. You're focusing on standards and norms. You're focusing on not reality, and you're not taking into consideration the environment in which we're in and how up against a wall so very many of these electeds are, having been supporters and pushed this narrative. And so it's going to come to Mike Pence, and I don't know if he'll have the strength that Nixon had, or the fortitude that Al Gore had. And, so it's definitely a precarious situation that we're in. And, I have been worried about this one, haven't I, dear?
You have been. You've been worried about it, and I have been worried about it. I was outraged when nothing happened to prevent Trump from taking office, and I understand the outrage with this cult, this Trump cult, because these aren't Republicans, these are Trumpians. It's completely different. It's a completely different mindset. You know, you don't have you have Al Gore doing the right thing even though it was the wrong thing. I mean, I think legit science.
Nixon did the right thing.
Nixon
Come
did
on
the right. If
now.
Nixon can do the right
I mean,
thing,
it
and
wouldn't have
Nixon can
altered
never do the
the
right
outcome
thing,
of the election,
but Al Gore, I
right?
mean, history has proven that Al Gore did not lose Florida and should have been president, but he knew that it was best for the divisions within the country to just capitulate and move on, which I wish he hadn't, because we ended up in these two horrible wars we can't get out of. Um, and climate change has been, been exacerbated, but Murray, sometimes Trump needs to move on. And I know now with what he signed down at Mar-a-Lago, he may not be able to move on. Uh, that he'd never live full time down there, or more than
That's
7
kind of
days down there.
fantastic.
That is kind of fantastic, and he's just going to blow
All
it
right.
off. He'll make him move, and his daughter's like redoing a cottage at Mar-a-Lago, so the whole Trump family is homeless basically. Um, you know, there's so many things, Murray, that happen on January 5th and 6th, and we have to hope that, and you need to do your due diligence and help, all of you out there, help support Warnock and Ossoff, because we can't lose the Senate. And even more important, because of what happens on the 6th. We cannot.
Well, I mean, on one hand, it is more important, assuming that, we continue to have an actual functioning democracy. On the other hand, it could mean absolutely nothing if we slide into a fascist state, which could occur if Mike Pence decides to say, nope, these election results, I don't believe them. I side with the objectors. So yeah, if that goes okay, yes, the second most important thing we need right now, and that we have control over, is the Georgia Senate race. And we have to believe that the right thing will happen and get out there and write letters. A friend of mine sent me a message that her friend was phone banking with John Mayer in Georgia. So you never know who you might run into or who you might find. And I'm going to guess that this holiday season, there's going to be a lot of jockeying and a lot of phone calls made in back rooms with the GOP and what they are going to do over January 6th. And it is really concerning, and we need to keep our eyes on it.
We were also focused on the Electoral College certification, and I saw all these people talking about watching it and how riveting it was, and I thought, no, because this isn't the be all and end all. This isn't the end of this, and there was no surprises with the certification. The surprise is going to come.
Well, I was rather surprised that the Arizona GOP showed up at the sent into the mail and said they sent it into the archives, the alternative slate of electors that wasn't even legal. I found that a little surprising.
Okay, so but you and I guess I keep thinking.
I'm teasing. You're absolutely right.
It's supposed to have all these stopgaps to prevent the bottom from falling out. So now we have one little linchpin holding it all up, and it's like this, And I can't. I'm like,
it's Mike Pence.
Oh, please hold.
Mike Pence is the future of democracy. Mike Pence.
In the dictionary.
Wait. Right before Mike Pence, it's Susan Collins. Our hopes are pinning on Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski here, folks. Otherwise, it goes to Mike Pence.
Well, I am so sick of conspiracy theories. I mean, everybody sends them to me.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I seem to have lost. Oh, there she is.
What? What did I do? Did I leave? I was talking about conspiracy theories. Maybe I was cut off.
You did. You disappeared.
See, every time we talk about, remember when we did our deep state?
Q's listening and they don't like.
Yeah, but we did a show, and you can look it up, about the QAnon and a deep state bunch of weirdos, and I had an electrical fire. So every time we talk about conspiracy theories, something weird happens.
He did.
Yeah, but I fixed it. So and in about 4 months, we'll have a brand new studio in my brand new house. Because I've been gone for so long, but now.
So, folks, thanks for tuning in today.
Yes.
We had some technical difficulties. So if you have issues with it, Check us out on our podcast. You can get it anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. We are number 25 in the country of Argentina under the topic politics, which is exciting. So let your friends know in Argentina we're the hot thing. But make sure that you hear our podcast or watch us on YouTube where there is a fixed of anything that went wonky while we're live. It is actually fixed in those places. But we really appreciate you. Yeah, she's good. And thank you for watching Heartland Mamas. I can't tell if she's talking because my thing went wackadoo. So tune in every Tuesday and Thursday at Heartland Mamas.
MAMAS.com. Find us on all podcast platforms. Any place you get your podcast, YouTube, and probably carried as part of the Demcast USA Network. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. See you later. We're going to hope to work out these glitches. Bye-bye.